Pictures got hidden, obscuring the past, history rewritten, hung in a hallway where no door can see, confirming his unending fragility. If Trump can't see it, you must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list, object permanent, a milestone missed. If Trump can't see it, he must not exist. Testing was the line that he said. Hundreds of thousands needlessly dead. Now HHS is run by brainworm quack, hiding the truth behind his back. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list, an administration run by narcissists. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Of documents stacked floor to the wall, top secret folders in a bathroom stall. Charges were pressed but the case was dropped. A corrupt judicial system he can co-opt. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. He'll swear it's fake news, a liberal twist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Downtown tents lining the street, invisible people that power won't need. Hide them away so the cameras can't find the proof of a system that's cold and unkind. A payout in secret, an NDA sign, an illegal bribe, Michael Cohen fine. Trump got fined too over his gag order, but she didn't gag cause he was much shorter. It must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. We can't let him win, we must resist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist.
Trump piled debt, trillions tall, promised Mexico would fund that wall. Praised dictators, said they're strong. Had Joe done it, they'd say he's wrong. Had Biden done it, MAGA called treason if chose the name. Is patriotism when devil's to blame? Had Biden done it, I don't flip. Had Biden done it, more numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd shout no way. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the land Fox News warned its viewers of a dastardly plan. The liberals were launching their war on the season to get rid of Christmas and commit acts of treason, removing decorations out of their sight and telling you that Santa and Jesus ain't white. Environmentalists who will come right after your soul. They hate all things Christmas, especially the coal. They'll sneak in your house all dressed in their flannel and instead give the bad kids some new solar panels. They'll take up all decorations that please us. They'll even go after tiny baby Jesus. Now all these Fox lies cause such a frustration. Who would save us all from this misinformation? When live from the net there came lots of chatter. Could it be old St. Nick, or perhaps someone fatter? Broadcasting from New Orleans down in Louisiana, it was none other than Liberal Dan, coming to save the holiday season, busting through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. But I cannot do it myself, he exclaimed, so he called other groups, each one by name. On Christians, on Muslims, on Wiccans, on Jews, on Hindus and Buddhists and atheists too. Let's all spread the word and tell them indeed that there's no war on Christmas, just one on greed. So instead of joining this manufactured fight, listen to Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right.
Proclaimed king, a groper in chief, stealing our country, a crooked orange thief. Faux patriots who are poorly educated, wearing red hats and also unvaccinated. Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. A failing media that's barely treading water. They're too inept to fight this new world order. Corporate pigs are at the trough, hear the squeals. The swine won't bite the hands that feeds them meals. But Liberal Dan will see us flow. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. A leftist voice on air, exposing MAGA treason, breaking through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. Unmasking hypocrisy, the truth will be our guide. Call out their lies, justice is on our side. 'Cause Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right.
And welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming to you live from New Orleans, Louisiana. Again, we may open up the phones a bit. We'll see, who knows. We'll see how good my knee feels, or how bad my knee feels, I should say, over the course of the show. But in the meanwhile, before I do that, if you want to leave comments, etc., you could always do so in both of the chat threads at twitch.liberaldanradio.com or liberaldanradio.com, which is the YouTube channel. Shouts out to Atrocious at Every Game and or Villaby over on the Twitch stream, over on YouTube so far. We've got the Mod Squad, both Aaron and Jolie. We've got Molly, Jeff from just north of Uranus, Steve from across the pond.
If it's no Scottish, it's crap.
I have to hit the button twice. Maybe the button wasn't made in Scotland, I guess. I did play that during one of the songs. Not sure if you caught it or not. We got Tim. Hello, Tim. Josh. Let's see who else. Suzanne. Who else? We have Aaron subscribed to Tier 1. Subscribed for 23 months on a 23-month streak. Thank you, Aaron, for being not just one of the two best mods on the planet. You're also one of the two best supporters of the show, and you're also live here. They're over there on Twitch as well. So thank you. Jackie is in the house. Good to see you, Jackie. Big Hook from the Great White North. Suzanne, I think I might have already said Suzanne, but I'll say it again. Roxanne as well. The Ann Squad. Who else did I miss? Mad Mac. Good to see you, Mad Mac. Let's see. Petrazi as well. It's kind of breezed through. Mad Mac is also a member for 13 months. Awesome. Thank you for re-upping and remaining a liberal Danimal. Thank you so much for that. I think a little bit helps, especially towards the end of the year. I mean, I know that everybody has end of year expenses that are crazy. If I do get a raise and a bonus, that won't be effective till the beginning of the year. And of course, the holidays coming up and everything, there's that. Plus, there's also the fact that, I'm still dealing with my mother-in-law house stuff. Things are looking up a little bit there. Not going into too much details, but hopefully things will be better. Good to see you, Amanda. Thank you for joining. And what else? I think I said hello to everybody so far. After Thanksgiving, we did our, was it on Saturday? I'm doing well enough where I can actually prepare food and prepare food fine. Jolie, a Danimal for 23 months. Thank you, Jolie, as well, for being a loyal listener and a awesome mod as well. Thank you both. Jolie and Aaron, could not do this without y'all. Teresa's in the chat. Good to see you, Teresa. Thank you. But the, whatchamacallit, made turkey gumbo over the weekend as well. And as I've said on the show before, Cassie, my wife, is sometimes, if I do something really well, she'll be like, it's all right, it's good. She's not the biggest on giving away huge compliments. So when I get a huge compliment, like somebody living in Louisiana for her entire life telling me that maybe the third or fourth gumbo I've ever made was fucking delicious, I'm from Maryland originally, and me hitting the gumbo out of the park is just a good feeling, especially because I can do the gumbo with a gluten-free roux, so it's celiac safe. So I make sure to not only give her good feelings all up in her taste buds, she doesn't have bad feelings all up in her guts afterwards. So, and it's even better day two. We made it yesterday. I had some more for dinner today. I mean, I have to give myself a pat on the back because it was an amazingly well done gumbo. I did a really good job with it, I must say. So, and it was not even a seafood gumbo, Don. It was turkey and sausage gumbo. Not one bit of seafood in the gumbo either. It was turkey and sausage with a homemade turkey stock that I also made all by myself. So, as the host of the most with the smooth sounds of the Percy podcast, Nimbus Yosh used to say, easy for me to say, before he decided to avoid some bullies and get off the air. Whenever he would show food and show what he's done with food, he would always be like, get you and me. Well, I'm already married, but get you and me. Find you somebody who could make some delicious ass food. Especially dealing with, whatchamacallit, with allergens, etc., and making it taste no different than anything else. So, And look, that turkey stock, I was hungry for most of that evening as the turkey stock was simmering. I was getting hungrier and hungrier because we do not do things in an unseasoned way in the Liberal Dan household. We are seasoned culturally, we are seasoned ethnically, or at least we try to be, and we are seasoned politically. So we do not skimp on the seasonings in any bit whatsoever in the Liberal Dan radio household. Let's see, what else? What do we want to discuss first? Just let me mute this for a second so I can make sure to pull open this link properly that I want to pull open, just to make sure that y'all adhere, to make sure I'm where I want it to be, because I was in the middle of pulling up some stuff and it just never came up. Let's see. Work studies at the school my daughter are paid for at the university make more than her. She runs the entire program and makes less than her. That's ridiculous. Dinner for dishwashing arrangement. I go, no, Cassie also makes very good good food as well. So I'm not going to say we swap that for the other. She also can make some really good banging stuff. It's usually the kids that get the dishwashing duties. Although the kids don't like the gumbo, so oh well, they can have the turkey that's left over because there's still leftover turkey above and beyond that. So this is a long-ass interview. Need to pop open the transcript and see if I can find that. Need to find it in the transcript so I can find the appropriate part of the whatchamacallit. Do I have to actually click in here to actually do it well? Actually, that's not what we want to look for. We want to look for asylum. Let's look for that instead. Here we go. So it's not that early on. So if we start from the beginning then. Just want to make sure I did that. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to go through probably some of this first. But anyway. Forgot to do that one part before the show, so bear with me. I apologize. Let's see what we want to talk. I don't want to necessarily jump into that first. I guess today is the anniversary. I guess I'll start with this one. Today is the anniversary of Rosa Parks getting arrested. Going to show how law enforcement can be used to terrorize the population. And also going to show how, you know, we have a history of bad in this country that this administration and other Republican governors in this country, like DeSantis and Abbott and Landry and other people, want to hide from you. They want to hide the bad. They only want to show you what they feel was the good without blaming, the people who were in charge of the bad. And there were certain people who were in charge of the bad at the time, and we all knew who they were, and they just don't want to say it because they're too fragile about it. But one of my heroes growing up, when I was growing up, was Rosa Parks with her act of defiance. I remember back in the day that I was surprised when the city of Kenner, when I was still living in Kenner, Louisiana, when they actually, used, I don't know if it was her birthday or not, or maybe it was this day, I'm not exactly sure, but they actually honored Rosa Parks, I was shocked because Kenner is run by a bunch of crazy-ass Republicans, and they're probably even more crazy at this point. But, because for some reason, there's no reason for Kenner, Louisiana. Like, there's all these little cities. Like, we talked about this last time in the last show with Gretna, Louisiana. And, there is the Home Depot raids going on in Gretna. I'm not sure if the Home Depot was incorporated or unincorporated Gretna. But all throughout Jefferson Parish, you have all these little fiefdoms. You have Harahan, you have Kenner, you have West Wego, Gretna, you have all these little fiefdoms inside the parish as a whole. So basically they're like, we want to make our own little police departments, we want to make our own little tax structures, we want to have our own little bits of areas of control so we can feel special about ourselves. Meanwhile, Orleans doesn't have that. Orleans has one government, and that covers the entire county, whereas in you have Jefferson Parish, and in some areas it's Jefferson Parish government and Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office that are in charge of things. In other areas, it's the local police departments like Gretna, Oswego, Harahan, Kenner. It's absurd. It's unnecessary duplication of services. You would think that conservatives would be all like, oh, we should be doing things in a way that's efficient. But no, they like to have their own little fiefdoms and their own little duplication of services and yada, yada, yada. It's absurd. So, but anyway, I was just frankly surprised that the city of Kenner did, honor Rosa Parks back when it did. And I think it's always important to recognize that, standing up to police terrorism, standing up to the terrorizing of the populace by law enforcement, be they local police, state, federal, whatever, is always a good thing to do. It is always a good thing to, whenever you can, to challenge the authority that is trying to put down or, punish or otherwise harm a population that is not, especially populations that are part of oppressed and marginalized cultures. So that's why I think it's important today to bring up Rosa Parks and what happened to her, and just to kind of go all over that. Now, Donald Trump, Mr. Law and Order president, despite the fact that he's a felon, has commuted the 7-year prison sentence of former private equity CEO David Gentile. He was a CEO and co-founder of GBP Capital Holdings, was convicted of wire and security fraud charges brought by the Justice Department during the Biden administration. The president commuted the 7-year sentence days after he actually reported to prison. So a sentence in May to 7 years in prison on wire and security fraud charges. He began a sentence on November 14th and was released on November 26th, says Bureau of Prison spokesperson Donald Murphy, White House pardon czar. Remember when conservatives say they don't like czars, at least back during, whenever a Democrat is president, but whenever it's a Republican president, they never do anything and complain about Trump having a czar. But when Biden had czars and other Democrats had czars, they shit bricks. And that's because
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, they'd scream foul play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York, which brought the indictment, said at the time the charges related to a years-long scheme to defraud 10,000 investors by misrepresenting the source of funds used to make monthly distribution payments in the amount of the revenue generated by the three of the investment funds. He was charged and convicted alongside Jeffrey Schneider, the owner of a marketing firm. The White House official disputed the charges brought by the Biden DOJ. The official said GBP paid regular annualized distributions to its investors, and in 2015, the company disclosed to investors the possibility of using investor capital to pay some of these distributions rather than funding them with current operations. Even though this was disclosed to investors, the Biden Department of Justice claimed it was a Ponzi scheme. This claim was profoundly undercut by the fact that GBP had explicitly told investors what would happen at trial. The government was unable to tie any supposedly fraudulent actions to Mr. Gentile, blah, blah, blah. This is according to the Trump administration. Gentile's attorney did not immediately respond to comment. Letitia James had also sued Gentile and co-defendants over the scheme. The lawsuit is still pending. A source familiar with James' case told ABC News that the Attorney General's office is aware of Trump's commutation, and the source says it doesn't change the merits of the civil case against Gentile. So again, somebody found guilty of basically doing a Ponzi scheme has now been freed by Donald Trump because, he's all about law and order, right, folks? Everything is about law and order with Donald Trump. I read Gentile was charged by Tish James in New York, and that would be fun to see because all they have to do is retry that case in the state courts. It's a state charge, not a federal charge. Then he gets to go back to prison again. And Donald Trump can't do squat about that now, can he? He probably thinks he can, but he can't. So, let's see. How spicy do I make my gumbo? I keep the spice. I put in less cayenne pepper and spicy type seasonings because my wife doesn't like stuff that's too spicy. The first time I made the gumbo was a little too spicy for her, but she still ate it. She said the spice level was perfect. Of course, when I made my bowl for myself, I sprinkled in some more cayenne pepper and some Louisiana hot sauce on top because, well, I like it spicy. So I make it for other people and then spice it up for my seasoning. So, but if you want to talk about pardons, if you want to talk about ridiculous pardons, let's talk about the ridiculous pardon of this guy. Now, what a way to start off a PDF. What a way to start off a letter, I guess, to Donald Trump. I don't know how many people refer to Donald Trump in this way, but I'm sure people who are trying to kiss the one who wanted to be a dictator on day one, I'm sure the way to get to Donald Trump's heart, if there's something exists or whatever exists in place of the heart that pumps like the black sludge that goes through his veins or with the orange Cheeto dust or whatever. It starts off, His Excellency, I can't even say the word because it just makes me just want to hurl. His Excellency Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, Your Excellency, again, so he has to say it twice to kiss his orange ass. I have the honor to extend to you my warmest greetings and convey my highest respect, esteem, and blessings. Mr. President, I have hesitated to send this letter, knowing the immense demands of your office, but the grave injustice I now endure compels me to appeal directly to you. I write to you from a federal penitentiary, unjustly serving a 45-year sentence, effectively a life sentence given my age. Just as you, President Trump, I have suffered political persecution targeted by the Biden-Harris administration, not for any wrongdoing, but for political reasons. My wrongful conviction is based on the uncorroborated statements of convicted drug traffickers, one of whom even recorded a video exposing senior members of the Honduran radical left party Libre discussing bribes with traffickers. He had admitted during my rigged trial. I mean, this guy knows exactly how to get to Donald Trump and, tug at his little pus bag strings, not heartstrings, but pus bag strings. I have found strength from you, sir. I think this is probably the first time in history that we have an example of Donald Trump being referred to as sir in public. Because normally Donald Trump is like, they'll say to me, sir, sir. I've never once heard anybody look at Donald Trump and say, sir, such and such, or sir, here's my question, or here's my point, or here's my praise of you. Maybe I've just buried my head in the sand and didn't want to hear it, but here is at least one example of somebody calling Donald Trump sir. Your resilience to get back that great office, notwithstanding the persecution and prosecution you faced, all for what? Because you wish to make your country great again. What you accomplish is unprecedented. Unfortunately, he's not unprecedented, and truly historic. Your resilience in the face of political persecution has inspired me deeply. Like you, I saw, and it's like in caps here. So like you, I sought to only serve my people, to uphold conservative values, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. And there's like more crap. In light of those ongoing injustices, blah, blah, blah. Juan Orlando Hernandez, former president of Honduras. And he gave him a pardon as well. He gave him a pardon. Now, this administration, oh, wrong thing. Now, this administration has been making us want to believe that drugs are the worst thing that are happening to this country. Drugs are awful. Drugs are terrible. And look, most drugs are horrible and terrible. I'm not going to say they're not. I mean, there are some that are harmless and let people use them as long as they're not harming anybody else. It's fine. But the drug trade apparently is the worst thing. People bringing fentanyl, people bringing cocaine, people bringing all this stuff into this country. You can't do this. We can't allow it. So we have to bomb these boats that supposedly, allegedly, whatever, have drugs on them, except for the fact that there's actually been provided no evidence that these boats have drugs on them. There's also, the evidence that is staring us right in the face that is basically saying that Pete Hegseth and whoever else who ordered the second strike on a boat to make sure that everybody was dead on the boat, he wanted to make sure that, I guess there are no witnesses. So they basically are flat out murdering these people now, at least is what it looks like to me. All in the name of the drug trade. And what is he doing? He's pardoning somebody who is participated and was found guilty of a crime for what? Bringing drugs into this country. Make it make sense. It doesn't make sense. There is no sense to this. This is nonsensical. And of course, when Donald Trump said, in his discussing of this whole thing, he basically said, many people are saying that he was treated very unfairly. And when I say many people are saying, normally when he says many people are saying, it's nobody that's saying it except for him. I guess now many is two. It's him, Donald Trump, and the former president of Honduras, Hernandez. Both of them are saying, and I guess that qualifies as many people in the land of Donald Trump, etc. So, what do you want to do? How do we take this? How does anybody take this president seriously? Of course, they're going to absolutely 100% make excuses and be like, oh, well, if Donald Trump said it was unfairly and it was the Biden administration that prosecuted him, so clearly it was a corrupt affair and clearly he didn't do anything wrong because, whatever. But had, Biden been the president and had Trump convicted him of drug charges and had Biden pardoned somebody days after he was sent to prison on drug charges that a Trump administration Department of Justice would have, gotten him convicted for, well, you know the deal.
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, that scream foul play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
So yeah, there you go. You have Donald Trump pardoning somebody found guilty of crimes relating to the drug trade while themselves, I guess, are committing crimes trying to supposedly stop the drug trade, but they're probably really just stopping boats with people in them or whatever, because that's probably how horrible and terrible this administration is they would try and cover up the murder of people seeking asylum and refuge via boats by trying to claim that they were just trafficking drugs. And, even if that's not the case, this administration acts so poorly and horribly that I wouldn't put it past them to do it anyway. And that's where we are as a country. Yeah, exactly, Janelle. It's all Biden's fault. Exactly. Hey, Trish, good to see you. Thank you for joining us over on the Twitch. Trish on Twitch. See, I can't deal with too much rice myself, to be honest. It's delicious without. No, I think it was the best iteration of the gumbo I've ever made. We're just gonna keep going back to gumbo. Hey, Christine, good to see you. Let's see who else is here. Is it Steve from across the pond? Is that really the crap he responds to? What a fucking child. Oh, I've been saying he's a child for years, but yes, he absolutely responds to that. That letter, oh, Your Excellency. Who the hell calls the President of the United States Your Excellency? I don't think it has been done. And somebody in chat can correct me. I know there are knowledgeable people in the chat. I don't remember anybody ever calling the President of these United States Excellency before. And if there was any president who was going to be labeled as excellent, i.e. Your Excellency, the last person who should be labeled as excellent should be Donald John Trump. Right? So So anybody that wants an easy part of a Donald Trump, I will kiss your ass repeatedly, and I will tell you how wonderful you are, and I'll tell you that I call you, your excellency in the hopes that you let me go. If you say I was treated unfairly, much like you, because of Biden, I'm going to get it. He's going to let out so many people who are horrible people who are going to go back to prison at some point later down the line. It's just, yeah, Josh, your crapulency, yes. Thank you for stopping by on your way home, Trish. Appreciate you. Hey, Michael, good to see you as well. This is Susie. Susie's here. Good to see you, Susie. I don't know if there's Susie. I hadn't seen the Susie name pop up yet, but there it is. It just scrolled on past my eyes. So let's see. What else do we want to talk about today? So we do have this clip from MSNBC, or I guess, I'm sorry, well, maybe it's NBC News at this point because it's on Meet the Press, so it actually is an NBC News now and not MSNBC. Wonder if they're going to be showing Meet the Press on MS now that they've split off from NBC. I don't know. But anyway, so here's back. There's a scary face over my head. That's like nightmare stuff right there. But we had Kristy Noem on there, and they were talking about the shooter who, well, let's just listen to what old Gnome Face has to say.
Thank you, Kristen. I appreciate you inviting me on.
Thank you so much for being here at the conclusion of just a devastating week. I do want to start with the investigation into the attack on those two Guards members. What is the latest you can tell us about the attack, the suspect, Ramanullah Lakhanwal, and what you have learned about the motive, Madam Secretary?
Well, we know that this individual came into the country under Operation Allies Welcome, and
she's like, I ain't learned anything.
During the Biden administration and that disastrous withdrawal that we all watched unfold in 2021.
A disastrous withdrawal that was facilitated by Donald Trump's ineptitude during his first term by setting a firm leave date and then leaving it to Biden to implement. So that's one. So don't let the facts get in the way of your manipulation and propaganda there, dog killer gnome. Let's continue.
Been in this country and was in the Washington state area. We do know that we're talking to his contacts and going through information, continuing to gather that as we go forward.
So he didn't even have glasses. He had contacts and he's going through them. How's that going to help? Sorry, bad joke. Just let's continue.
Forward, but we're going to use every tool at our disposal to bring him to justice and make him pay for what he has done, not just to America, but how he's devastated these families and taken the life of one of our soldiers and devastatingly injured another one that we're still praying for each and every day. My heart goes out to Andrew.
You don't have one of those. Don't lie. If you had one of those, you wouldn't have shot your dog in a fucking gravel pit.
And Sarah's families, I can't imagine what they're going through. And President Trump is absolutely dedicated to making sure that he's bringing this individual to justice. And anyone that he would have talked to, anyone that he knows that would have known about this plan and this attack, he will absolutely bring in, and there will be consequences, and they will pay.
Yeah, and our condolences to the family of the Guards member who did pass. I do want to go back to this question, Madam Secretary. Do you know what the motive was at this point? Do you believe the suspect acted alone?
Scribe is how you stop explaining the same thing over and over at work. Watch this. It'll change your life.
We're still going through all of that information, and I'll let the FBI and DOJ reveal new information. But
scanning for deepfakes. I wonder if they're going to notice with Noem, and as her face melts off like South Park does. Shouts out to Trisha for bringing that part up.
Will say we believe he was radicalized since he's been here in this country. We do believe it was.
So wait, so it was Biden's fault for getting him here during, welcoming everybody over from Afghanistan. It was Biden's fault that he's here, but now you're saying he was radicalized here? So why would it be Biden's fault if he wasn't radical when he was over there? Why is it now Biden's fault for him being here if he was radicalized while he was here. Now, maybe he was radicalized for some reason, and maybe the radicalization took place after Donald Trump started being a piece of shit, but, you know, it is what it is, right?
Through connections in his home community and state, and we're going to continue to talk to those who interacted with him, who were his family members, talk to them. So far, we've had some participation, but anyone who has information on this needs to know that we will be coming after you, and we will bring you to...
Not that we're going to come talk to you, but if you have information, we're going to be coming after you. What a great way to make people think like they could come forward and let people know what information you might have to help solve the murder of one of our, National Guards people, and then the assault against the other of the National Guards people that was injured in the shooting. Not we're going to interview, we're going to want to speak with you, we're going to want to have a conversation with you, we're going to want to get the information from you. No, we're coming after you. That is not the way you win hearts and minds. That's not the way you get people to be like, oh, sure, I'll help you out with this individual. That's the way to be like, I ain't no way I'm talking to you, and that, especially without an attorney, because you're coming after me. You think you're going to treat me like a criminal just because I might have information about a crime. That's how horrible and deplorable this administration is.
Justice. We absolutely will persecute you because we do know that we will never allow this to continue. That we will be coming after you and we will bring you to justice. We absolutely will persecute you because we do know.
They're not going to prosecute you. They're going to persecute you. They're saying the quiet part out loud. Freudian slip, right? Right? Freudian slip. Anybody else catch that one? They're going to persecute you, not prosecute you?
That we will never allow this to continue to happen in our country. Allow individuals who came to our country.
You literally allowed it to happen because it happened under your watch. You literally allowed it to happen. It's your fault. Buck stops at the administration, right? It's Trump's fault. It's your fault, right? You're the ones in charge. You're the ones who are so focused on picking up, people who are doing, work at Home Depot that you can't actually, use enough time. You don't actually have the resources to go after the real bad hombres, as Donald Trump says. Let's continue.
Country that were unvetted by Joe Biden, allowed to run free and loose.
Unvetted by Joe Biden. Unvetted. Now they're blaming Joe Biden again. Unvetted. But he was radicalized here. So if he was radicalized here, Ms. Noem, then what vetting could Joe Biden have done when he was in Afghanistan to make sure that he was okay? Because if they would have vetted him over in Afghanistan, they would have said, oh, he's fine. Why? Because he wasn't radicalized over there. He was radicalized over here. They can't even keep their story straight. This is why Donald Trump, after the 2016 Nevada primary, said he loves the poorly educated, because of the people who he hires and the people who he's, trying to convince that, what they're saying is true. But we can clearly see right through the BS that it's a whole bunch of BS.
We are going to bring them to justice and make sure that they're returned out of this country. If they
returned out of this country, they have the best words. Everybody in the Trump administration just has the best words.
They aren't here for the purposes of being an American.
You don't have to be an American to be here legally, you dumb piece of crap.
Follow up with you. I mean, you say something very notable. You say he was radicalized here. This suspect, we should note, was a member of the CIA-trained strike force. According to former intelligence and military officials, he would have undergone extensive vetting during his tenure there and afterwards. It is worth noting Citizenship and Immigration Services, an agency which is a part of DHS, approved the suspect's asylum application in April of this year.
Dun, dun, dun! Yeah, I mean, come on there. If he wasn't vetted properly, then why did y'all approve his asylum in April? April! Biden wasn't president in April. He might have been had they not changed the Constitution way back in the day, but they changed it back from, April to January. So, yeah, April. Trump is president. You were head of DHS for 3 months at the time. April.
Why did the Trump administration grant the suspect asylum in April? Did you know then that he was moving toward radicalization?
Well, Kristy,
deer in headlights.
To remember that when this abandonment of Afghanistan happened.
Stumble over your words, Kristy. Go ahead. You got it. You can form your words. Go ahead. You go get them.
Biden administration put people on airplanes,
Put people on airplanes, but he was radicalized here. He was radicalized here. That's what you said. Not there, here.
them to the United States without vetting them. They brought them.
But as she said, they would have been vetted as part of that program. And again, you said he was radicalized here. So any vetting they did over there would not have picked up anything. He was radicalized here.
Them into our country and then said they would vet them afterwards. And then at that time, to do a good job of vetting people, you need to have cooperation of that government that is from their country.
So what happened to the cooperation, of the government now? I mean, he wanted to invite the Taliban into this country to have, to invite them to Camp David. So Trump has no problem with them, right? Because he wanted to have, have a nice little meal with them. So why wouldn't it be able to, get that cooperation? He's such a great world leader. He's so powerful and strong. Many people are saying, sir, you're the best diplomat in the entire world. I'm sure plenty of sirs have told him that, or many people called him sir and told him that, right? Why wouldn't he be able to have such good cooperation with the people in Afghanistan?
You have to have a stable government that will give you information, contacts, background information.
And with all those problems, guess what? You still granted him asylum, you dumbass dog killer.
And biometrics that you may need to identify that individual, their dates of service. All of that vetting information was collected by Joe Biden's administration that was used and in the process. So President Trump, thankfully, has completely changed that. We are now using...
he hasn't completely changed that because it happened during your administration when he was granted asylum.
All social media content. We're going after what they have been doing with their contacts, their biometric data information we are collecting. Now when we vet individuals...
They're going to persecute you, remember. They're going to come after you. They're going to persecute you.
Individuals under this administration, we know who they are, why they are here, and going through that. Unfortunately, this individual, that entire process happened under Joe Biden's watch.
Nope, because you granted him asylum. Shut up, you're a liar.
Well, but just to be very clear, I want to go back to what happened on the Trump administration's watch. He was extensively vetted in order to serve alongside U.S. service members as a part of the CIA-trained strike force. But in terms...
And again, he was part of that strike force, coming home was whatever. So he was vetted for that strike force under who? Donald Trump, right?
What happened on the Trump administration's watch, just to be very clear, what vetting did the Trump administration do before giving this suspect asylum?
Of course, another ad.
The vetting process, Kristen, happens when the person comes into the country, and Joe Biden...
Wrong, sorry, you're you're dumb. Again, Donald Trump loves the poorly educated.
Biden completely did not vet any of these individuals, did not vet this individual.
So then why did you grant him asylum if he wasn't vetted?
Waited until he got into the United States, and then that application for asylum was opened under the Joe Biden administration.
And it was finished under the Trump administration.
When he was the president in the White House and allowed that to go forward with the information that they provided. That's the Biden administration's responsibility.
Roxanne, do we believe anything coming out of her mouth? No. The only thing I would believe coming out of her mouth was, I love Donald Trump and I hate dogs. I would believe those two words coming out of her mouth. Anything else? No, I'm not believing it.
This is the consequences of the dangerous situation he put our country in when he allowed those people to infiltrate our country during that abandonment of Afghanistan. And that's why...
Trump abandoned Afghanistan by setting a hard, firm date. Sorry. Got more lies from Noem.
I'm so grateful we have a president now that isn't going to allow it to happen. That
you granted asylum to somebody who then murdered two people. That's on you.
He now has put in place measures under his watch at the Department of Homeland Security that we are bringing in new information on vetting, new information to use, such as...
And now I have to leave because my face is melting off.
What do they do on Facebook? What do they do on TikTok and other social media platforms? And who are they talking to? Who are their conversations with? And we use their biometric data information now to track to make sure they are who they say they are.
Interrupt her, Kristen.
and they're here for their right intentions.
And we are going to talk about some of the steps the president is taking, but I just want to be very clear about this because his asylum was approved in April of this year on the Trump administration's watch. So just to be very clear, was there a vetting process in place to approve that asylum request?
Yeah, the vetting process all happened under Joe Biden's administration.
Then why would you grant the asylum? If you question such the paperwork that was done during the Biden administration, then why would you accept it and use it to grant somebody asylum? Doesn't make any sense. Does it pass any sort of logic test? Of course, nothing does coming out of this administration.
So was he vetted when he was granted asylum? Are you saying he wasn't vetted when he was granted asylum?
Vetting is happening when they come into the country, and that was completely abandoned under Joe Biden's administration.
So then you gave somebody asylum without vetting. That's what they're admitting. So put those words together. That's what she's admitting. They granted asylum without vetting. It's their fault. They did it. They could have said, no, we reject your asylum and went yeet, like they've done to various other people. Instead, they granted this guy asylum, and he murdered people. Or one person at least.
That's the irresponsibility that has completely devastated our country, Kristen, put us in such a dangerous position. I don't think people realize.
A choice in every game is the producer screaming in your ear, Kristen, stop, you're being too tough on the puppy killer. I mean, on the Honorable Madam Secretary. Somebody should be in her ear saying, go harder. Because if I was there instead of Kristen Walker, I would have brought up the issues that I have with her logical arguments that she's making to prove that she's a fucking idiot. But that's why we need new media. That's why I say we have a failing media, because they're barely treading water, not doing what they need to do to ask the tough questions and to call them out. I'm frankly impressed that she got a little bit there, but she still left out a whole bunch of the haha gotcha moments that Noem clearly served up to her on a silver platter.
When Joe Biden was in the White House, exactly how he was allowing our country to be infiltrated with people that we didn't...
Infiltrated by somebody who was vetted to be a CIA operative or whatever, or a fighter alongside the Taliban. Right? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Know who they were. Some of them we did know were dangerous, and we went after as soon as they came into this country. But under this program, we could have up to 100,000 people that came in from Afghanistan that may be here to do us harm. And President Trump
may be here. They might be, but, then again, they're already here, and, well, F them, right? F them, and we'll F this administration for actually, not actually protecting us, because they actually don't give a crap about protecting us. They're going to do what they feel is going to serve the most political points amongst their bigoted base. Right? So there you go. Let's close this one out. What's the other one I wanted to see? I don't know. No, there's a... Here we go. This is something from back in June. This is from Wave F back in June. Let's go ahead and bring this back up as well. All right, so I like to talk about the over 100 cruise ship workers who are Filipino of Filipino descent, and I like to bring that up as an example of how when the Donald Trump administration talks about things like they're going after the bad hombres, when the Trump supporters will say things like, oh, well, mistakes can happen. Or they'll say things like, if you are, if you are entering the country here legally, if you are here legally, you have nothing to worry about. That's what they will say constantly, over and over and over again. When I bring up the issues that I have with ICE, even before I do that, I'll see people saying, just come here legally and you'll have nothing to worry about. And of course, that's not the case. And I use as an example the 100 Filipino cruise ship workers, again, that were here working with proper documentation. And then this administration has deported over 100 of them without giving them the Supreme Court required 9-0 ruling ability to challenge their being here, being detained here before they were deported. And then, of course, they were deported illegally and just illegally deported because of the lack of the allowing to be able to say, hey, file a writ of habeas corpus, etc. So there's that. But there's also, it's just immorally as well that they're doing nothing wrong and they're blocking. But they're like, oh well, it's a mistake. It's a mistake. Is all I will hear from these conservatives. Well, here back from June 12th, 2025, DHS issues notices of termination for CHNV parole program, encourages parolees to self-deport immediately. This program was abused, supposedly, by the previous administration to admit hundreds of thousands of so-called poorly vetted illegal aliens into the United States. Again, those are the words that they're using. Those aren't my words that I use. Today, DHS will begin sending termination notices to aliens paroled in the United States under a Biden-era parole program for Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans. So it's different than what Noem was talking about, but I guess kind of similar. Messages informed them both their parole is terminated. No. Here's the thing. They're calling them illegal aliens, that their parole is terminated, and their parole-based employment authorization is revoked. These notices will be sent to the email addresses provided by them. Blah, blah, blah. Biden administration lied to America, blah, blah, blah. They allowed more than 500,000 poorly vetted aliens from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, and their immediate family members to enter the United States through these disastrous parole programs, blah, blah, blah. Said Tricia McLaughlin, ending the CHNV parole programs as well as the paroles of all those who exploited it will be a necessary return to common sense policies of return to public safety and return to America first. Of course, remember, American first is American Nazi term, but here they are not illegally here. They were allowed here by the administration via this parole program. It's a humanitarian parole program. And so these 500,000 people were allowed to be here because of an action by a former president who allowed them to be here. And now they're telling them to self-deport. So you want to tell me all you have to do is come here legally and you're fine, but that's not the case. Because these 500,000 people came here legally. They were granted the permission to be here by the previous administration, and now this administration is saying, nope, sorry, we're revoking your status, now you have to leave. What if they can't afford to leave? What if they don't have the money to leave? I mean, they were granted the ability to be here on humanitarian parole. But that's not even the question. That's not even the question that needs to be asked. The question needs to be asked of all these people who are continuing to support Trump. Why are you going to continue to support an administration who keeps trying to say, come here legally and you're fine? These 500,000 people came here legally and they're not fine. They now are being made to be here illegally because of an action not from them, but because of Donald Trump's actions. It's Donald Trump who made these people here in violation of our laws because he just changed. He pulled the wool out from them. He did, bait and switch. They were baited and switched. I mean, it wasn't the same person who baited them who switched it, but they were enabled to come here legally, and now Trump says, F you. So no, coming here legally is not a guarantee that you're going to be treated fairly by ICE. And there's plenty of other reasons of people who are going to be, we'll be talking about who have come here legally, who are here legally, or either has been told that they could stay here by either the courts or the government, and now this administration's saying, like, you know what? F you, we're still going to treat you like we treat everybody else, like a bunch of bigoted shitheads. And that's basically it. I don't know how you can continue to support or justify your continued support of this administration if you are continuing to support this administration. Another example of this administration being horrible when it comes to individuals who they are trying to deport and the criminal and terrorist actions of ICE. 19-year-old college student was on her way to surprise her family for a Thanksgiving break. She was detained at a Boston airport and later deported despite a federal judge's order blocking her removal, according to her attorney. Annie Lucia Lopez Beloza, who entered the U.S. from Honduras when she was 8 years old, was about to board her flight to Texas last Friday to visit her parents and siblings. Airport authorities told her to step aside. Lopez Beloza was detained, informed that she had a removal order, and then was arrested. Her attorney said hours after her detainment, her court documents obtained by ABC News showed that a federal judge ordered the government to not remove the 19-year-old from the U.S. and to not transfer her outside of Massachusetts. According to her attorney, Lopez Beloza was transferred that evening to Texas and then deported to Honduras the next day. They are not following the laws. Again, the Supreme Court has basically said that individuals who are detained are required to have the ability to file a writ of habeas corpus or otherwise challenge their detainment in a court of law. 9-0 ruling. Alito said yes. Thomas said yes. All the SCOTUS members said yes. All 6 conservatives and all 3 liberal leftist judges also agreed and said 9-0 that they have to be given that ability to challenge their detainment. She was not. This is another example of a lawless administration. And then now you basically have to tell people who are here, who are, who potentially could be facing such actions, to not fly. You need to now drive everywhere you need to go, because if you fly, you're risking this happening to you. She thought she was going to go home, see her family, fly back, take her finals, and now she's sitting in Honduras. Statement to ABC News affiliate, spokesperson for Immigration and Customs said Lopez Beloza had a removal order since 2015 and confirmed her removal. But the judge said no. And she was detained, and she was not given the required amount of time that the Supreme Court said, yes, you have to give her that time before she can be removed so she can challenge this. This administration is lawless because they ignore Supreme Court orders. This administration is heartless because they separate families. This administration is just full of a-holes. And yes, he has been doing that since he started, but this is just yet another example of them violating the court orders, violating the rules. Let's see. Hey, Christine, good to see you. I also saw the goddess Kimchi somewhere along the line, and somebody said hello, so hello to the goddess Kimchi. Christine says, it's like when a credit card company bank lowers your credit limit without notice and then charges you fees to bring over your limit. Exactly. Or when credit card companies altogether will say things like, hey, we're going to treat your credit score as if it's X, and we're going to use a formula based on how much, part of the formula is how much available credit you have to the overall amount of credit that you have, or how much you've filled your credit compared to your available credit. And then a credit card company will be like, oh, well, you haven't used this card for years, so we're going to close it. Now your available credit is less. And now what else? Now we're going to increase your rates because now your overall debt to overall credit availability is now a much higher percentage. So they switch it to you, they switch you, and then they tell you, too bad, now you have a higher rate. Exactly like that. Big Hook also says she has a baby as well with her American. Well, they don't give a crap about that either. Not one bit. Because again, they separate families. They don't give a crap about keeping families together. They will separate families unless they can get all of the family to leave. It's just like that kid who's, was getting brain cancer treatment. The kid's a citizen, parents were undocumented, and the administration didn't even have the fucking heart to say, look, we are going to not take action on y'all, at least until her health needs are dealt with. We'll keep her. Or maybe he could just pardon her. Pardon them for their crimes. Pardon their actions. Say, look, we're going to allow you to stay here so you can be with your kid. Be a decent fucking human being for once. Is Donald Trump ever going to be a decent fucking human being? I will not hold my breath on that. So the 11th deportation of the mother and her brother taking custody of the child was sickening. Yes. Let's see what else. I think that was the one with the British person one, the one I was shocked about last week. Anyway, let's go through other things I want to talk about. I already talked about this ridiculous letter kissing his ass. Let's see. I think we almost covered everything I wanted to talk about today, and it's like just turning 9. So since that's the case, let us do that. And then do that. We are now opening the phone lines at 562-LIBDAN1, 562-LIBDAN1, 562-542-3261 if you would like to call in. No need to wait, Big Hook, if you want to jump on that first. Otherwise, anybody wants to call in, remember, if somebody is called in, I'll try and remember to turn off the call-in number, but Sometimes I do forget, and if you want to call in, please feel free to do so, and just, be good. All callers are welcome, conservatives, liberals, etc. Call on in, and we can have a conversation about anything you want to have to. Phone lines are completely open. If you want to, debate me on some issues, please give it a shot. I welcome the debates. If you want to talk about how awesome you think I am, you can do that too. Either way, I welcome you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, let's see, what else? Wait, what's the real dance name, Steve? I'm trying to see what Steve says. So I know we're in outsiders, but I believe in America you only have to follow the law if it suits. This I have observed over the last few months. You only have to follow the law if you're not in the administration. That's for damn sure. But yes, Trump is, and that's what I said. I said that we were going to have a constitutional crisis in this country once Donald Trump realized that he can just sit here and just not follow the Supreme Court rulings that come down in opposition to his agenda. All he has to do is just realize that and hope that nobody else in the government is going to stop him for his lawless ways. Because we have basically it amounts to a tradition in this country that if we have, if we have a Supreme Court ruling, that Congress and the presidency will just follow it, because we operate under this assumption that we have three co-equal branches of government. But this administration doesn't believe that, and they're going to challenge that, and nobody's going to stop him. This is the constitutional crisis that we're in, because if this administration just basically says, F you, we're not going to do anything the Supreme Court does if it disagrees with how we feel, then who's going to arrest them? It's Bondi's in charge of the marshals, right? So it's not going to be Bondi sending the U.S. Marshals. So who then arrests them? You would then need the military to step up and say, you're under arrest for violating the Constitution. It would have to happen that way. Anyway. We do have a Big Hook calling in. Welcome, Big Hook. How are you doing? How are your lower extremities feeling as compared to mine?
Yeah, probably in about the same shape as yours. A dull ache. And I'm just hobbling along. I've got a specialty boot, so that way I can get around and stuff. But I'm not really supposed to put a whole lot of weight on it, so it's sort of a marriage of convenience, I guess, of some sort.
I'm glad you're able to call in, and I'm glad you're getting the care you need. Today I had a meeting with the head nurse of the guy who did my knee replacement, and they were like, come see us in a month. And I'm like, can I get it done on the 31st of December? Because if I do it on the 31st of December, then I might not have to pay a copay on it or anything. And they're like, well, if you do it you can do it the 6th, but it should be part of your post 90 days, so it still should count as the previous calendar year. I'm like, well, here's hoping, because I still want to try and save as much money as possible and not have to pay any money for health care next year if I could avoid it, other than prescriptions. Anyway, so...
Yeah, I know how that goes. Yeah. It's, I'm just curious. Do you think Trump's going to last another year?
Well,
because at this point,
according to his doctors, he's the healthiest person that's ever been president whatsoever, right? I mean, did you read the letter that the doctor sent, apparently, that the administration put out? It was like, oh, this is the best health. He has they addressed every single thing that they questioned about. Oh, there's no problems with his veins. There's no problems with this. He's wonderful. If you believed him, he has, the best health ever. But I would be surprised if he lasts the year. Just health-wise.
I'm of that sort of opinion as well. He's looking really awful, and he's sundowning extremely fast.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just throwing out, manic rants all the time. I mean, he keeps going back to his favorite routine of, talking about toilets and showers that don't have good enough pressure and stuff. He basically has to return to he can't retain anything new. So he has to go back to old memories that he has just through repetition that rattle around in his brain continuously. I mean, that's the way it is right now. I don't know what else to say. He's getting completely out of control at this point.
Well, that's why we say if Trump can't see it, it must not exist, because he doesn't have object permanence whatsoever. Either he didn't develop it or he lost it along the way. He doesn't even know what got scanned. He doesn't even know what parts got scanned. According to NBC News, it's his heart and abdomen, which I'm surprised the heart scan went well, because again, it doesn't exist. I disbelieve that it exists. So
yeah, and if he does, it's the same size as the Grinch's.
Yeah.
Before.
Pre-growing 3 sizes.
Yes, and that's just it. It's hard to believe that he's gonna roll it out. But my thing is, the Dems have a chance to basically. So if a whole bunch of these Republicans decide, you know what, I'm not going to stick around for the investigations and whatnot, as soon as the Dems regain control of the Congress and the committees and stuff and whatnot, and then control the purse strings and basically tell Trump that, we don't think it's going to happen the way you think it's going to happen anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and I'm sort of hoping that after January, if a bunch of these people all decide to resign, that would be the ultimate humiliation for Mr. Johnson. They're having to give up the gavel, and as well as the ability to go, I hadn't heard that. I haven't looked that up. I have no idea what's going on in Congress whatsoever. I just do what Donald says to do and pretend that I am confident and don't have any other agenda. I don't know anymore. He's such a he sort of reminds me of somebody who got stuffed in his locker constantly in high school.
Right.
He is of the worst sort. The thing that I see a lot, especially the one that Anthony Davis, he had Tia Lovings on again, the lady who managed to escape with her kids and from her abusive husband, who was in the evangelical cult and whatnot, and she was saying the same thing. He's of that same irk, where they basically go out and they pretend that they're superior, and and they try to keep all information as well as responsibility from their wives and whatnot, and that they're supposed to be subservient to their husbands and all that other crap and whatnot, as opposed to an equal partnership where it's like, yes, we're going to raise the kids together and make a good home and life for ourselves, that sort of thing. But he still doesn't. I don't think he still has a bank account, does he?
Who?
Mike Johnson. So how the hell does he get his salary?
Probably, maybe his wife controls it. I don't know. That was a bizarre situation. Their whole family situation is just weird. I don't know. I would never want to put I don't necessarily want my kids looking at dirty sites, but I wouldn't be like, hey, let's share the websites that we both look at, son. That's kind of weird and creepy. Like, you can't trust yourself. You can't trust yourself to do something, that you don't feel like you want to. This is why Republicans need government to keep themselves. This is why Republicans want to ban porn and ban gay sex and ban all these other things that they think are immoral, because they need government to stop them from doing it. I
But
don't know what the deal with the
thing.
bank
Now,
account is, though.
the thing that gets me is that now you got a whole bunch of people out there saying they want to ban VPNs, and it's like, no.
Right.
Why would you want to do that? You're going to make the internet even more insecure. I mean, for many people and businesses as well as everything else, I mean, a VPN is the only way to ensure their safety amongst the net. And I mean, you get all these YouTube channels that say, oh, well, you don't need a VPN anymore because of this and that and the other thing. It's like, yeah, no.
Right.
I still want a VPN. I'm sorry. I don't want anybody collecting data on me. You know,
Right.
I mean, I use, the Incognito now to have all references and stuff removed of my existence on the net removed as it is, you know, and with a VPN in tow with that, it makes the trail of breadcrumbs much smaller for them to come back to bite me in the ass. So, you know, but I don't understand it anymore. You know, like privacy is completely dead at this point because the companies and, you know, all the corporate deals that are made with these bloody politicians who seem to think, oh yeah, but if I have the chance to get some money that I can then hedge towards my retirement and then use as insider trading to double, triple, and quadruple it, you know, while I'm in power, you know, and that's the whole thing now. With the exception of a very small few, it really is corruption at the highest level, you know, and, you know, before it was, you know, oh, it's just the Republicans that are doing insider trading. But now we're finding more and more that there's lots of corporate Democrats out there who are doing the same bloody thing. You know, you can't tell me that Nancy Pelosi doesn't have interesting conversations with her husband at night, and that he just by happenstance happens to make really good stock trades, you know?
Right. Oh no, like anybody tells me, like, you know, once they that was only a one party thing, I'd be like, that's funny. Don't make me laugh.
Well, the thing that gets me is that as Wajahat Ali has been saying, he says it's not about return to normal play. It's about reform now, because that's just it. You can't continue going the way it's going right now. I mean, Texas Paul was saying within 10 years the government is going to completely collapse because people don't want to pay taxes and the whole system is under threat of everything. And I mean, the Republicans have basically chiseled away at it to the point where, you know, the economy as well as everything else is hanging on by a thread. And the people who are in the clear and completely safe are the billionaires. And you know that they're just going, that if they get a hint that the tax man is finally going to come and demand that they pay a hefty portion of their fortune, they're all going to fucking go to New Zealand and build mansions and live there. You know,
well, hope they like the New Zealand military is defending their wealth. That's the one card I think you've never played that we on the, you know, hey, we need tax dollars to, you know, support everything in this country. I don't think that's one thing that's ever been dropped or ever been used, is basically like, hey, you want to move out this country because we changed your tax rate to make it more equitable, to make it more fair, to actually make their, you know, rich people pay for what it amounts to their protection. Go ahead, try another country, see if they can protect your assets as well as we do. Give it a shot. Have fun.
Yeah,
Have fun
but
with it.
but at this point, what assets are there left? Because the thing is that Donald Trump has gone and said, oh, okay, well, we'll give Saudi Arabia F-35s. Oh, we'll give Saudi Arabia access to the top top of the line AI chips, which they will then bargain with China to allow them to get a look and use. You know, I mean, like, everything is for sale. It's the Donald Trump fire sale of all U.S. secrets and assets of the United States of America. I mean, it's ridiculous where you guys are. You know, it's you know, and they'll go, oh, but he's not a Russian asset. Sure he is. He's an asset to whoever the highest fucking bidder is. He doesn't care. He doesn't care who you are, so long as your money is good. He will play along and play dumb and claim that he's doing America a favor when in fact he's just selling everybody out.
Yep, selling us all down the river.
And the question is when it's all said and done, where are you going to stand when he's gone? Because you won't no longer be the big kid on the block anymore. I mean, outside of having just more military might than anyone else. Mm-hmm. But if everybody else has now got all your military secrets as well as the ability to make the same stuff that you have, what's going to separate the men from the boys? What's going to separate democracy from autocracy?
Right.
I mean, I don't know if I've ever... It's a scary fucking time in the world right now, and there's so many people that are worried about what the fuck is going to happen. I mean, I still don't hold out hope that Trump won't, in a mad rage, push the nuclear button.
Right.
I mean, he's just fucking crazy enough to do it.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's alarming on its own. And the fact that the Republicans won't step in and won't take him out and impeach the motherfucker and get him out, and then you're left with the only other alternative, which is Vance, and he's in boots with Elon and Peter Thiel, who all believe that, you know what, we have to cull the human race and decide who's worthy to be on this planet and who isn't, you know? And I mean, like, fuck, how the hell did we end up in this fucking nightmare, you know? Because everybody fucking made deals.
The poorly educated is how we ended up in this nightmare. The poorly educated, or the poorly educated and or the racist and bigots who voted for Biden but didn't vote for Clinton or Harris.
You know, because everything seems to be up in the air. You know, like the other night I was watching the Jen Senko, the brainwashing of my dad and everything. And, you know, and it's just, it's always the same game. I mean, now you've got the Project 2025 and they're trying to ram this damn stuff through. And now they're saying, oh, well, maybe that won't work or whatever. But the problem is that you have all these asshole Republican politicians who still believe in this shit.
Right.
And given the next opportunity, they will try and do it all over again. It's always the same story. Oh, we'll lower your taxes. And it's like, lower them to what?
I do have to interrupt you for a second. Thank you, Aquatic, for gifting 10 Liberal Dan Radio memberships. 10 more people are Liberal Dan Danimals. Thanks to your generous thing. And I don't think I've ever seen this happen before. One of the people that it went to was Aquatic. So I don't know if I've ever seen somebody get their own gift, but there we go. Aquatic got his own gift. That's funny. Anyway, thank you as well for doing that. Go ahead. Continue, please.
Yeah, but, you know, like, where are you guys at this point? You're bankrupting the farmers. You're polluting the environment. You're making healthcare completely unaffordable, and, you know, I mean, you're closing down hospitals right, left, and center.
Right.
in urban areas. So, like,
Closing down Planned Parenthood clinics so people are less likely to get preventive care.
you know, I
Prenatal
mean,
health care.
I don't know. Like, is it just me that only I can see all this shit happening, or does everybody see this happening? And are going to finally get up on a soapbox and say enough is enough. This has got to fucking stop. You know?
Someone has
Because
to. Unfortunately, it can't. Unfortunately, it can't be us, because we are the ones who are constantly talking about how bad Donald Trump is. The people who are the Trump supporters are just going to bury their heads in the sand and be like, no, it has to be somebody amongst them, I think, who needs to have like an awakening and be like, you know what, we were wrong, and then have the ability to be like, this is why we're wrong, and to be somehow more compelling, more, what's the word I'm looking for, more, I don't really want to use the word charismatic, because I don't think Trump's charismatic at all. He just happens to know how to be a snake oil salesman and sell people on shit that's not going to be good for them.
Yeah, but he sells them on their weaknesses, which is basically, they have a racist tendency. They think that they're somehow superior to other people, which is part of the stupid Christian evangelical white nationalism agenda. You know, I mean, this stuff is just fucking horse shit over and over again.
Aquatic says as prices drop over the next year, people will start coming on. I don't know why he believes prices are going to start coming down. I mean, I see no evidence as to why that would happen. But even if they did, prices is while a higher price is clearly bad versus a lower price, but the reason prices are high is because of all of Donald Trump's tariffs. And I'm not going to sit here and ignore the racism, bigotry, etc., the horribleness towards Hispanic folks and other people who are here legally that he's targeting. I'm not going to forget that simply because I pay less for milk and eggs. So,
well, you know what? Someone said something that actually made some sense to me, which was a politician proposed that Walmart, every single one of their employees, as well as every one of their other things, who apply for food stamps as well as social assistance or whatever, you know, that they be on the hook for all those costs, and that it be charged directly to Walmart, because they've been living off the dole of the government for the longest time.
I mean,
and because they've done
I've said something very similar in the past. I basically made the argument where if they don't want to force corporations who are like big corporations like Walmart, if they don't want to force them to pay a higher minimum wage because they're afraid that it might hurt small businesses. Now, I don't believe that you have a right to own a business and you don't have a right to anybody's labor. But if they want to do it a different way, basically change the system, create a UBI, and then tax the people who work for the large corporations more money, and maybe make exceptions and tax breaks if you do pay your people a living wage, and all of them a living wage. But otherwise, yes, absolutely, they should be taxing Walmart more to be able to fund those sort of programs, be it funding the SNAP benefits and the other benefits that they live on that Walmart doesn't pay for regardless, or just adding even more just to increase the pay, just to make sure that they can get a UBI, and then maybe that might force other people's hands, even Walmart's hands, to be like, hey, well, now these people get a UBI, they have a better ability to negotiate their wages, and as such, they're not going to fall for your cheap poverty wages crap, and then maybe that'll bring the wages up normally. So,
yeah, I don't know, because that's the other thing, you know, with the AI crap and whatnot that's going out there. I mean, certain things, yes, I understand they can be automated, but at what cost? If you end up getting rid of all of your employees, guess what? You're also getting rid of your customer base, because oftentimes the people that actually work for you are the same people who buy your crap.
And it's not that they choose to, it's because they have to, because I've heard from people who have talked about this, who basically said because they can work them whenever the hell they want to work them, because they have no other options, they'll have no other option, but okay, well, I don't have the time to go anywhere else, so I'm just going to shop here instead. So Walmart then brings in food stamp money. Walmart then brings in welfare money and other benefit money that comes in. Walmart gets all of that stuff while also getting to, getting the benefit of paying a low wage. They're getting all the stuff that's coming in to their employees. So absolutely. It's another form of a corporate grift.
Well, like I said, I just don't know where it's going to go, because the other thing is, they're saying that AI is, the AI bubble is going to crash, and then they're going to demand a bailout, similar to what happened before with the home mortgage crapola. They'll say, oh, well, it's all of our investors jumped out, and now it's all going to fail, and we're going to be left holding the bag. You have to help us out. And it's like, help you out for what?
Right.
What was your goal outside of to destroy the economy, as well as democracy, as well as make people dependent upon an information source that has no accountability or references as to where the information came from? Because that's the other problem. I saw a very interesting YouTube video, how they were talking about how AI actually, in fact, makes you dumber, because it removes all critical thinking. It basically does a summary of what it thinks it is the correct answer, and there's virtually no fact-checking on it unless you specifically ask for the references as well as everything else. And that's just it. Google worked because you got an answer, but then it also gave you references, which meant that you could then go and look up the sources and find out where the material came from and how recent the data was. This is just it. People are going and they're getting lazier and lazier, and and they want to use it like a toy. And it's not a good thing. I understand, yes, if you're going to start your own business and you want to utilize it in a way like, for example, like CNC machining or something, where it's like you're programming a machine to create something in the version or the vision of how you want it done, yes. But that's a whole different ball of wax, as opposed to, I'm going to take away everybody's jobs because I've got a data bank of questions as well as referred answers that the machine will accept and won't accept and whatnot.
Right.
It just gets stupid. Because now you're not dealing with a human being. You're dealing with a machine which has zero critical thinking. It's just basically, it's ones and zeros with, no accountability. And it's frustrating, because if you get on the phone, they're like, oh, and we would like you to do this and bloop, 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 bloop. And it's like, I'm pressing fucking zero. I want to talk to a fucking human being. I don't want to deal with this fucking computer crap so that way you can cut your costs.
One of the things that bugs me about Walgreens like that is that, and how I know intelligence isn't quite, artificial intelligence isn't quite intelligent enough or whatever. Every single time I call Walgreens and I want to speak to somebody, it's basically because I want to deal with a problem with the prescription. Because normally if there's not a problem with the prescription, I don't have to talk to anybody. It's all automated. And then I basically have to be like a person, we can help you online. And I'm like yelling at the phone, no, you can't. Let me speak to a person, even though I know it's not listening to me. But it's just absurd how, but yeah, you're right. Like, it's almost like Wikipedia, though, with when people used to use Wikipedia for research, and I'm like, well, I don't use Wikipedia for research. I don't get the information from Wikipedia itself. I use it for the articles that they use then as a source that where other people are using to report these things. So that's kind of a similar thing with, AI. You shouldn't be using AI specifically to try and understand something specifically.
Well, I want us to go back to Google.
Yeah.
I want us to go back to Google and go back to the book sources and then say, you need to produce me the reading material, and don't give me a summary. I want to be able to read the material and be able to ensure that the summary that you've given me is accurate.
Right.
And that's just it, because if you think about it, it's counting on people being lazy and just assuming that what AI tells them is correct.
Right.
And yes, there's a 50-50 chance it could be correct or it could be bullshit, depending on how you word your question and how deep, a query you make into it actually is, And
that's why I use it. I try not to use it for like big stuff, but I use it for like stuff, like small stuff. Like, I've been like, hey, is this grammatically correct? And then get a yay or an A or whatever, but not for like, the whole, big thing. Like I have heard, like, if I want to, like, it was suggested to me that one time that perhaps sometimes my arguments could be too long-winded, and as such, maybe I could use like ChatGPT to try and consolidate my argument. Haven't quite tried that yet, but I may have to. But again, it's still based off of my argument and my thinking, which if we start losing that, we're going to get into like the Wall-E world where everyone is just floating around, watching TV, drinking their, Slurpees,
yeah, exactly,
and not using any minds or whatever, just kind of floating around like a bunch of happy blobs. But are we really happy at that point? So. Christine asked something question in chat. Cab fare went up when gas prices went up. Does anyone think the cab fare will go down when gas prices are lower? Not one bit, because that's what happens. They use an excuse to get the prices up, and if they can stay up, they'll stay there, and they're not going to lower the prices unless something else undercuts them. It would have to be Uber and Lyft probably trying to undercut them again, and then that they're problematic as well because, of how they treat their drivers. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just it now. Uber and Lyft are now going to be replaced by these self-driving cars that they're using in Vegas right now.
Well, they announced that Waymo was coming to New Orleans, and somebody was like, well, I guess that means there are going to be way more accidents now than before. So.
Yeah, but
who does AI
I don't
choose?
trust
like,
I don't trust the technology.
Who does AI choose to save if AI thinks it has to make a decision? It's going to see people crossing the street, and it's going to swerve in such a way to kill you, whereas maybe you could have swerved in such a way to save everybody. But, hey, that's what people want, right?
Yeah, but
or some people.
Like, what are you going... The question is what are you really saving more so than anything? I mean, I understand. Okay, if I can't afford a car and my only means of transportation is basically Uber or Lyft, and I use it as sparingly as possible other than regular public transportation, then yeah, I think that's an okay alternative. But I mean, if you're somebody who works somewhere out of the way and you have to use a vehicle every single day, I don't want to be sharing the road with automated vehicles that don't necessarily react in a human way or whatever, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, cars are already crap now. I mean, because everything now is based on planned obsolescence now.
Right.
I mean, that was part of why, as I explained previously, that's why I went with the Japanese route, because the thing is that I'm getting older cars that were actually made properly and with, much more sound practices in terms of building decent vehicles that were meant to last 20 and 25 years, and, I mean, I don't know how much longer gas is going to be around, but I mean, if I get 10 to 15 years out of these vehicles that I bought, then, I'm in the winning category.
Yep.
With the minimum upkeep costs as well as other things, So, because the brand new stuff is crap. I've heard people say that, you can't even get 100,000 miles out of half the new cars that are out there outside of the Hondas and the Toyotas, because everything else is crap. The transmissions are are going to fail, and then it just ends up being a catastrophic repair that, in terms of the value of the vehicle, is not worth fixing. I mean, how many people could come up with $5,000 to $10,000 for a transmission issue, especially on these new fucking trucks?
Right.
I mean,
I can't even tell you how many different recalls I've seen Kias have, in the years that we've had these two Kias, and my mother-in-law having the one I drive from before she passed away. But yeah, I mean, it's everything is so far. Hell, I'm surprised that my van lasted this long. I got it in 2012. It was a 2013 Sienna. I'm surprised that it was still lasting this long. I need to give it a jump.
But a Sienna is one of the most reliable vehicles out there. I mean, that's the thing. Those are meant to go 400,000 miles.
Yeah.
With proper upkeep and maintenance. I mean, that's just it. So long as you follow the the rules of proper upkeep and maintenance, you're going to be money ahead. Yes, you probably pay more up front,
right.
But you get what you pay for. You go cheap, you pay twice. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Another thank you for Aquatic, who has now given 15 additional memberships for a grand total of 25 tonight. So Aquatic is the hero of the night for lots of liberal Danimals becoming. Even Trucker John got one. Look at that. Good for Trucker John.
Yeah.
And yes, Jolie, propane accessories. Oh, blame it. Anyway, she was talking about heating with propane, so I had to do the imitation. Back to Big Hook, everyone.
Well, like I said, I see things the way I see things, and you seem like, or at least without some major reform, you are in a nation on the verge of total collapse.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, you've got lots of military toys and assets, but you've got somebody in power who is currently selling all the secrets and the know-how to all of our foreign adversaries, and I mean, like, I look at Canada and I'm like, how the hell are we supposed to trust you guys ever again after this?
Right.
Like, how? Why would we?
Why would anybody?
You guys can't even agree on fucking health care. I don't
understand when anybody would trust anything from this country during the course of the Donald Trump presidency. There is no reason why we should believe anybody outside of this country should believe anything from inside this country. And now we're at 35 gifted memberships from Aquatic. Thank you again, Aquatic, for all the memberships and all the new liberal Danimals. Thank you for that.
But the thing is that we keep watching you guys, and you keep shooting yourself in the foot constantly. Right. You go between the Dems, who are somewhat responsible, not necessarily always responsible, but they have leanings towards being fiscally responsible as well as trying to actually serve their voters, versus the Republicans, who are always like, oh yeah, let's keep playing the trickle down economics card again and give everything to the millionaires and the billionaires, and eventually they'll give me enough money that I can go hide off on a desert island somewhere and live life to the fullest. Yes. I mean, and the question is, are you really that stupid that you would vote for these fuckers? You've seen it over and over and over again. It's always the same dog and pony show, and it's frustrating to no end, because it's like your reputation worldwide changes 180 degrees every time you go from Dems to Republican.
Right.
Every single Republican that's been in office has been a disaster or a war criminal or a, cheating the government and bankrupting almost everybody. I mean, how many people over the years have lost their homes every time a Republican gets into power and runs the full fucking 8 years? You had George Bush. You had the other Bush. You had Reagan. You had Nixon. And every time it comes out that a Dem has to come in, clean up the mess, and then try and basically, jumpstart the economy again and bring some normalcy and decency back to the political arena. Mm-hmm. And in the meantime, you got, Republicans everywhere who are like, oh, well, I don't agree with this and that, and I don't want to pay taxes, damn it, I don't want to pay taxes, I want to just have people hand me fucking money for doing nothing. And I'm like, where in the world does this fucking work?
Right.
I'm sorry I screamed in the phone, but I'm at my wit's end right now. And I mean, I'm between a rock and a hard place as it is, because I can barely get around as it is. And to watch this bullshit constantly, being replayed over and over again, it's like it's waking up from a nightmare only to see that the nightmare is real and it's right there in front of you and you're just going to have to live it. No matter what you do, there's no hiding from it anymore.
Right.
And I really worry about you guys. I really do, because I don't see how you're going to get yourselves out of this mess. And I mean, even Texas Paul is like, it's possibility that in 10 years the government is going to completely collapse, and unless you guys do some major reforms and you fucking tax the shit out of the billionaires and put America back into the FDR economic model where, they've already got more than enough money for 100 lifetimes, and tax them at 90% and do the same thing for the corporations. Tax them at 75 or 80% and fucking put the money back into the social safety net and start making people, solvent again and not bankrupt, and then fucking give yourselves fucking universal health care, and make it. You guys claim, oh, well, we live in the richest country no, you live where the richest people live who don't fucking pay any taxes. It's not you to live in the richest country of the world. You live where the richest fucking people live who don't fucking pay taxes. There is a difference. Stop calling it something that it isn't.
Right.
I mean, I live off meager amounts of money, and I'm, fairly comfortable, and, I haven't always had a comfortable life, but, there's a pathway, and it means that you have to have your essentials met.
Right.
And that's one of the things that Canada has done well, is that they have given the essentials that are necessary to succeed. And America has fucking failed that mission task over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And I mean, what is one of the stepping stones to get out of the cycle? Join the military. Well, what do I see now? Military are going out looking for food stamps and going to food banks.
Right, because they don't give a crap about them either. Because Donald Trump, when his whole thing when he was like, at the, what is it? I forget where he was. Like, what was in it for them? Like, he doesn't even understand why anybody would be in the military. Do you trust that he would support them? No, and he was not going to make sure that they could be fed properly, and neither of them really care about that either.
Well, this is just what I'm saying. Like, you guys have nothing. What you have is a whole bunch of billionaires out there who fucking own everything, and they're waiting for the fire sale to happen, and then they will own absolutely everything, and then you will be answering to people who will have all the money and who will decide what kind of life you're going to live. You don't have a say anymore. So much for freedom and liberty. It'll be completely gone because you'll be at the behest of somebody else who decides what kind of life you're going to have and how much they're going to pay you, and you're not going to have any negotiation ability whatsoever.
Nope.
You know, I mean, you don't make good cars, you don't make good government, you don't make good citizens anymore because you fucking dropped civics. You know, like,
the only thing we have
I don't know.
really is you know, we export services. I think at this point is like one of the top things we export is services. So,
but outside of that, what else? Like I said, you don't make good cars, you don't make good anything production wise. I mean, the only thing that you
Biden,
could possibly do,
chip manufacturing, and now Donald Trump once again, as you said, give them all away. So,
and I mean, your farmers, I mean, they do wonderful things, but you basically bankrupt them. So now that's all going to be global, commercialized, and once again, where's all the money going to go? It's going to go to the fucking billionaires again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how the fuck did you get so far in the hole? And it's like you guys literally dug it for yourselves. You actually went and dug the deepest fucking hole you could possibly dig, and then you volunteered to fucking jump in it.
Right.
You know? I don't know. This is what's being a hobbling guy with a ruptured Achilles tendon sitting at home watching the news and going, fuck, every day. It can't get worse, and sure enough, it fucking gets worse every fucking day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's discouraging as fuck. And the question is who's going to step in and clean up this mess? And the question is how soon will the cleanup begin? Because I think if let's not forget, tomorrow Tennessee has their election there in the 7th district. You guys got to fucking show up and get them out of there, and then do the same thing. And then if you send a message to the Republicans that, yeah, we caught on. We know you're all a bunch of greedy fucking crooks and you don't represent the people anymore, you know, and if you know what's good for you, you'll fucking resign, because guess what? We're going to investigate you and you're going to be found guilty.
Right.
And there's going to be consequences, because this is just it. The accountability has got to come at some fucking point. And this has been the big problem. You guys don't have accountability. And it starts right from the presidency to the Supreme Court now, who are like, oh, yeah, well, he's allowed to be immune from prosecution, and, well, he's in power. And it's like, bullshit. Remember when he said, oh, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and not lose any voters?
Do I remember that? Of course. I have an identical memory, right? Yes, of course I remember
Well,
that.
what is he doing right now down in the Caribbean there with the Venezuelans?
Right.
That's exactly what he's doing. He's fucking shooting and killing people, and hoping that and going, oh, see, I'm doing what you guys desperately in your sick, twisted, racist fantasies have, which is to kill brown people, and not have to answer for it.
Right.
You know, they're literally, you know, black and brown lynchings, you know, and you guys are allowing it. I don't know what else to say.
Right.
I really want to be an optimist. I really do, but I just I cannot lie about what I see and what I feel and what the reality is. You know?
Yeah.
And the thing is that people got to get out and fucking vote. You cannot fucking leave this in the hands of these fucking criminals, because they will always do stuff that's not in your best interest, and they will fucking bankrupt the country, and they don't care, because guess what? They'll be on the first plane out to New Zealand and setting up shop there and trying to run the same Ponzi scheme there.
Yep.
You know? But I don't know.
I guess one thing that might show us, I mean, because there's a whole get out and vote thing, and usually when Democrats don't come out a lot for odd year elections. But we do have tomorrow there's that election in Tennessee's 7th congressional district. And that district used to be Marsha Blackburn's before she ran for the Senate. It's Mark Green's now, and I see suppose a special election now. It's that district has been in the House in the hands of the Republicans since 1983. They won the last election in 1982 and then have held that seat ever since. But now, according to polling data, Republican Matt Van Epps has a 48% of the polling in tomorrow's election. Democrat Afton Bain or whatever has 46%. With others getting 2% and 5% undecided. So the undecideds are more than double the difference between the two. So maybe that means that a Democrat has an opportunity to flip yet another seat. And if that does happen tomorrow, if not only Democrats come out en masse and start, actually voting like they give a damn, and thinking that, okay, all districts maybe are winnable. And then if there are at least some Republicans that are like, you know what, enough of this Republican bullshit, we're gonna send a message that we don't like what's going on, especially with immigration, which 68% of the country rejects the immigration or whatever, rejects the immigration policies of this president, then maybe, just maybe, we will be in a particular situation that might, start turning this country back around. But for example, like 38% say the economy is the highest, and a lot of people don't like how Trump's handling the economy. 15% housing affordability, 13% threats to democracy, 13% healthcare, only 6% immigration, only 5% crime, only 5% education. So there is a big chunk there of people who are struggling because of the economy, who now have to come out and vote after Thanksgiving and say, how's your economic life? So here's hoping that Tennessee can do
I saw a number there, right? That said that over 1 million immigrants have now left the workforce, and they're not, like those jobs are gone.
Right.
And nobody is going to step up and do those jobs anymore. And what that means is that you're going to have decreased supply, which means that the price is going to go up, because it's going to be supply and demand rules again. It's not going to be, there's plenty to go around, let's set a livable price. It'll be, there isn't that much to go around, and, whoever pays the highest amount gets it. And I mean, that's just it. You guys are, first it was shrinkflation. Now it's, you don't have anybody to fucking do the work and to keep the costs down anymore, because you're all waving your racist flag, Confederate flag around, going, I'm going to get rid of all these people who do the stuff that I don't want to do, and they make my life better.
Yep, and they say, this is what I voted for, and then what they voted for was absolute asshattery and bullshit. So
yeah,
I like how your racist redneck is more high pitched than my racist redneck. We could have dueling racist rednecks, maybe harmonize.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like I said, I just don't. I can't figure these people out. And as Texas Paul says, they're irredeemable.
Yep.
Stop pretending like you can have a conversation with these people and whatnot. I mean, it's funny because there was Fugelsang had a really interesting interview with this guy, and it was called Inner Visions. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about things. And he said that one of the things that they said is, he said, he quoted Abraham Lincoln, and he says the best way to treat your enemy is to make them your friend.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't see how you can be friends with somebody who's racist.
Nope.
And who, wants to take away your rights as well as everybody else's rights, and doesn't care how much he hurts himself, so long as he hurts you the same, if not more, or equally.
Exactly.
Because, and that's just it. I don't understand these people. They're not human beings. They're rabid animals.
Right.
That you cannot trust. And if you do trust them, they may act good for a little while, but eventually they go back to their true nature, which is to fuck everybody and everything that they possibly can, because it's all based on greed and self-centered belief that they are somehow superior than everybody else, and that they somehow deserve more than everybody else, and whatnot, and the lie, cheat, steal, and whatnot. And they believe that politicians will give them this thing that they crave so highly. And it's like, and you're like, dude, they've been promising you for 40 fucking years and they haven't delivered one. Right. Not one. So like, who's the stupid one here? Oh, don't call me stupid. Who's stupid here? Honestly. Either you're so stupid that you can't recognize that you're stupid, or you're insane. And you're an insane, racist piece of shit who doesn't care about anybody or anything, and you are, the beast with the 666, carved in your head.
Right.
You're just out there to destroy the world and anything good that has come from it.
Well, they no longer need to market the beast tattooed in their head because they already have it on their red caps. It's just the red caps that are showing it. It's just showing 45, 47 on them instead of 666. So
anyway,
I do think we do have one person who might want to call in. So I mean, any last comments before I open up the lines for everybody else?
No, I think I've gone off as much as I can. I feel like I'm beating my head against the wall, and I haven't seen blood yet, but I think I'm not far away yet. And I think everybody is in the same boat as me. You're scratching your head going, oh my God, how much worse can this possibly get? And the depths of despair that are coming seem like unfathomable, because everybody who's an expert and who is looking at all the trends and everything else that's out there are saying we're headed towards a disaster. Whether it be climate change, whether it be unaffordability, whether it be losing your job due to a computer because a billionaire doesn't want to pay a decent living human wage as well as actually support a human being.
Right.
But anyway, I'll leave it at that. You entertain anybody else who wants to come on and say their piece.
All right, thank you very much. Have a good one, and hopefully we can talk Wednesday about a good election result in Tennessee at least. Here's
I hope
hoping.
so too.
And then, of course, as someone said, next Monday we have the potential Supreme Court ruling on the unitary executive theory that the presidency has. So that should make Monday a very good show, or a very interesting show. See how ranty it is, or if they basically say "F you," put a line in the sand, and then that'll potentially bring everything to a head much more quickly than we might have thought. But
yeah.
I don't have any faith that this Supreme Court is going to do the right thing, because you have at least 5 people,
neither do I,
who are shit, and then Roberts, who's only shit about half the time, or maybe 3/4 of the time. But at least he's somewhat.
Yeah, but
at least Roberts pretends to like stare decisis, whereas the other ones are full of shit.
Yeah, but he's calculative. He tries to he wants to play both sides, but in the meantime, he's actually just slowly killing you with 1,000 cuts.
Right.
death by 1,000 cuts, because that's how he operates. He's like, oh, it's the little incremental stabbings that will eventually kill you, you know. But anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Thank you so much.
All
You
right,
have a good rest
have a
of your
chat
day.
with
Hope
the
your
next one.
foot heals quickly and nicely and well.
Okay, thank you. You as well. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
That was Big Hook, everybody. We are going to go ahead and put up the call number back on 562-LIBDAN1, 562-LIBDAN1, 562-542-3261. Thank you, Susie, for being a liberal Danimal for 4 months as well. Today has been liberal Danimal fest between people re-upping and people gifting. Ignoring mine, because mine don't count towards anything except for allowing y'all to see members only stuff, which there's not a lot of. Maybe I'll make a couple of the videos members only for the night, just as a benefit to y'all. We got 1, 2, 3 re-ups, and then we got, was it 30 from Aquatic? All right, here we go. I think this should be potentially other Steve. It didn't say who the call was from, but Steve, you there?
You're correct.
Awesome. Thank you for calling in. Appreciate you. Good to talk to you. What is going on today? What would you like to talk about?
Well, there's first off, I'm on your side of the spectrum here.
Awesome.
We're on the right side of history, so there's not going to be any argument from me. But I'm going to ask
the correct side of history, not the right one, but the correct one, which is the left one, right?
Okay, we're going to go that way. Okay, fine. Yeah, there's a few things I want to talk about. Lord knows I thought about 20 different topics, but I got to narrow that down. So I came up with 4. If we get to 4, we get to 4.
Sure.
First one is about what's going on in Venezuela.
Uh-huh.
I know there's this talk about oil, because Venezuela supposedly has the largest oil reserves in the world right now, even more than Saudi Arabia. But the oil that they have there is very dirty, very heavy. And we're not going to use that. We're not going to buy that. But if, a corporation like ExxonMobil or somebody gets in there and gets a hold of it, they might export it somewhere else. China can use that heavy oil, for instance.
Right. And is it similar to like the tar sands that would have been piped down to Texas via the Keystone Pipeline, or is it even dirtier than that?
No, it's different consistency. I mean, what we get out of...
I know we usually we wouldn't be using the stuff from Canada either, and most of that stuff would have also been exported overseas, and it wouldn't have benefited our supply at all. But I mean, I know less about the oil industry. I've only worked in it about 6 months, and that was more in the pipe laying side than anything. So,
okay, yeah. Well, then it's dirty oil. It's dirty stuff. I mean, it's kind of like last ditch stuff. Anyway, there's something else that's going on in Venezuela, which ties into something else that's going on in the White House later this week. They're down in the southern part of Venezuela, near Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
They are mining an element called tantalum, and it's mined as a mineral. It's in a mineral, but this is a very large reserve of tantalum.
Mm-hmm.
And tantalum is used in everything from electronics to airplane parts because it's acid resistant, heat resistant, and corrosion resistant. And the other thing, and it makes me, you think of what's important about tantalum. Well, we need it. We don't refine it here. There is a mine, I think, in West Texas, produces a little bit of it. And we probably process a little bit of it, but not an industrial scale amount. But there's 3 big processing plants in the world. One's in Russia, so forget that.
Right.
One's in Germany, cost prohibitive, and one's in China. Forget that.
Right.
So this is going to sound disjointed, but it's not.
Go ahead.
This week, Trump is having the presidents of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda, is that right? I think in the White House.
I think so.
Yes. Guess where the two largest reserves of tantalum are?
Where?
Yeah, Rwanda and Democratic Republic of the Congo. And I'm thinking, uh-oh, this is another minerals grab, isn't it? So I'm wondering if it's real oil or if it's that too.
Mm-hmm.
If it could be that too. But you know, and in this business with Hegseth and these deaths in Venezuela, you know, okay, he screwed up. I have no doubt in my mind he screwed up. As Chris Van Hollen, a Democratic representative from Maryland, had said, well, if it's determined we're not actually in a war, then it's murder. But if we are in a war, then it's a war crime.
Exactly.
I mean, he screwed either way, right?
Yeah,
right.
It's wrong if wrong one way, wrong the other way, wrong. There's no way to make it right unless you're a bigot.
Or lie.
Right, exactly.
Which, you know, I think all these people went to you probably heard me say this before, went to the Caroline Levitt School of Obfuscation.
Right, Caroline, yes.
But, yeah, okay. So when the Supreme Court, you know, supposedly is going to hear this oh gosh, what am I thinking here? Hang on a second. It's supposed to determine whether or not what we're doing in Venezuela is legal or not.
Right.
Okay. Now, if the Supreme Court says, yeah, it's legal, that puts them in a pretty bad light because we know it's not legal. Well, if they say it's not legal, all of a sudden Trump's probably exempt, but Hegseth and everybody else down the line is liable.
Right.
So they kind of put the Supreme Court in a position here. We'll see what happens with that.
Well, I think they'll be putting the Supreme Court in lots of corners in the upcoming weeks and months as they're trying to deal with all of the suits that are brought against them, because they are definitely challenging a lot of things that previous presidents had not quite challenged. So
yeah. Every time you think you've hit rock bottom, you find out it has a basement with these people.
Primitive Icon in the chat goes, rare earth minerals are the only interest to the administration, said a friend who was fired. So there you go.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Makes perfect sense. I'll just add that to my quiver of proof. So the whole thing, the whole premise is they're narco-terrorists. Right. Now, I had asked you earlier, I had joined you late on your stream tonight, and I had asked whether or not you had touched on Jose Hernandez, the former president of Honduras.
Oh yeah, I did, and the hypocrisy of him, going after the supposed narco-terrorists, yet, pardoning one.
Good. Okay, great. Now, there is a topic I want to discuss, and I really mean discuss, because I want your opinion on this.
Sure.
I have my opinions. It's still relatively new, but I see it personally as a threat on the horizon, and that's AI. And the fact that you can just fake just about anything you want online, right. And robotics. And I'm hearing this, there's put AI into robotics and free you up from having to do laborers and people that are unemployed. They're going to work out some sort of system so that you get a universal income so you don't have to work, and it's going to make it so people eventually will be able to live for hundreds of years, and it's going to do all your work for you, and it's going to free you for things like art and music and blah 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 blah, blah, poetry, whatever.
Right.
Fine. That sounds pretty boring. I mean,
I mean, if I literally had enough money to survive and was able to then put all of the work into the podcast, into the show, then I would love to be able to do that. I'd make more time doing that, and it might be more fun. But I mean, I do get your point in that, sometimes there are some, labor things that, some people enjoy doing, certain, work. On the other side, robotics and AI may very well have made it possible for the fact that the guy who replaced now both of my knees is able to do them better and more quickly with the technology. But he is a very skilled surgeon who is just using technology to basically be able to help more people quickly, but that doesn't necessarily eliminate the need to have him. But there are lots of AI arguments. Me and Big Hook have discussed, AI. He's more anti-AI than I am. I've utilized AI for some things on the show, but I've also always said that, if we're going to have that AI situation, just like you said, if AI is going to be replacing automation will be replacing 90% of the workforce, that means we need to come up with some other way to make sure people can still live by taxing those organizations or companies or whatever that do end up using that and replacing their workforce, because otherwise you're screwed. Otherwise you're going to have a whole bunch of people dying for, the fact that they can't afford to eat.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that's kind of going on now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Right.
With USAID.
It'll get worse as AI improves and as it becomes more able to be able to do things like, write code that actually works correctly and etc. And handle other things. I know there's been pushback in law firms, I know, that, are very hesitant to either use like ChatGPT or use open sort of artificial intelligence programs. But I know some law firms are moving towards closed systems where the system's only within their things, but a closed system is only as good as the thing keeping it closed. So if you break open what keeps it closed, then all your information's out there, and then that's the fear that some law firms have. But otherwise, it's a double-edged sword simply because of the fact that it can it can make you more productive. I mean, I'm becoming a little more productive now because I am using a tool that takes my long shows and cuts it up into clips without me having to do all that for hours, which is nice. But again, I'm still creating the content. Whereas if they start making people create content like they're doing on like Russian bot farms and crap like that, I mean, if they get any better, then it'll be harder to detect. But even the low information voter may not be able to detect it. They might think, oh, well, here's 72 other Facebook sites that happen to be posting the same thing I agree with the exact same words. And then it leads to the disenfranchised or to the stupefaction of America, I guess. So.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. And you brought up a good point. For internal usage, like for within a particular company or in case you pointed out, like law firm or something like that, makes good sense. Okay, I'm all for that. There's some uniformity in the way things are produced, the way products are produced and whatnot. I don't have a problem with that. I'm concerned that we don't, for one thing, the programs that we use, we don't know who's creating them unless we are lucky enough to find out. And so there's that. I mean, if you use one particular type of artificial intelligence versus another type of artificial intelligence, are they being programmed by the same parameters?
Right. I don't know that much. haven't dived that much into the actual backside of the AI code, even though I'm a self-developer, but so I know some, but I don't know exactly. It's probably different, like Grok from Twitter or whatever is probably using different code than ChatGPT that uses different code than some of the other ones that are out there. But at the core of it, I'm not quite sure.
Okay. Here's the dilemma I have. And it's more of a sociological, psychological type dilemma. One of the things about homeschooling is that many people are concerned that, well, first off, a kid's going to be sitting in front of a computer all day at his homeschool, and then what does he do when he's finished with school? He's going to stay on the computer all day. So where's the social skill development come in?
Right.
Plus, you're probably going to get the IQ of the parent in not all cases. In fact, probably not most cases, but in many cases you probably will. the same thing I think is concerns me with where this is going, where this AI projection, where this arc is going, because over the eons, humanity has changed slowly to adapt to its surroundings. Is it capable of changing fast enough to adapt to the speed with which this is coming down the pike? I'm afraid that there's going to be, it's going to come on so fast. This mass incorporation of artificial intelligence is going to come on so fast that we as human beings are not going to be able to deal with it very well, because we haven't evolved enough to incorporate that into our beings. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and I see your point. I mean, that's why I've been saying for a while now that we need to be ready for that massive form of automation that's going to require things like a UBI, that's going to require things like, being less concerned of, oh, somebody else is making the money, why should everybody else have access to that money type of thing, and move towards the idea of a post-scarcity society, even though we're not there yet, because we need to be ready for it. But then again, I only have about 1,300 subscribers on YouTube, so it's my reach for spreading that message is not that far, but we need to have more people out there basically banging that drum, or else they're going to be, once it happens, there's going to be a lot of people who don't give a crap about the people who are left behind, and they're going to have no problem saying, well, just let them eat cake or worse.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Yeah.
So
it's a big question mark to me. I'm still trying to gather information before I come to a hard and fast conclusion here.
Right. As it's hard to fight progress. It's hard to fight tech. It's hard to, especially when there are clear positive benefits for automation that has been shown throughout the history that here are the benefits. There's also detriments to it. I mean, automation is great. It enables us to make a whole bunch of cars and refine a whole bunch of oil and do a whole bunch of stuff. And of course, that also has led to more pollution. So and you have to deal with that side too. And unfortunately, the people tend to follow not Swift. It's not this Jonathan Swift I'm looking for. It's Keynesian, I guess, where in the long run you're all dead, so people don't worry about the short-term problems with. People don't worry about the short-term issues of, or people don't worry about the long-term issues of, well, how is this going to affect the Earth in 10, 20 years? Because they're like, oh, why do I have to worry about it in 10, 20 years? I can just, at that point, afford my house in the sky and leave everybody to live down in the new Stone Age, i.e. the Flintstones era. Because I'm convinced that the Flintstones and the Jetsons took place at the same time. It's my hill and I'm dying on it.
Prepare to die.
Yes.
No. Okay. All right.
So
I guess that's all I had for this evening.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, people. Welcome to call back again. Glad having you call in.
Quick question. You're on when? I keep missing you on Monday night because I don't get notifications. When are you on?
Well, Mondays, Wednesdays, and this week will be the first one. We're also on Thursdays, so we're moving to three nights a week this week. So Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Central. So
at 8 Central. Okay.
Yes.
Very good. We'll catch up with you later.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much for calling. You have a great rest of your day.
Take care, Dan. You too.
All right. Peace. There we go. That was Steve calling in. Let's go ahead, and we're not going to turn that back on. We're probably just going to turn off the calls from this much because, again, don't want to sit here for far too long simply because, oh, wait. There's an Impeccable Living sighting.
Oh, my.
Hello, Impeccable Living. Good to see you. Thank you. I haven't seen you in a minute. So let's see. I've been around a while. I've been dealing with depression, and politics is a big contributor to my depression. Look, dude, if you ever want to reach out, feel free to send me an email. I'd be happy to chat and talk with you privately about anything you're wanting to talk about. But I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're alive, and I'm glad you've given me another reason to say,
oh my.
So DB Golding, the biggest issue with AI is discerning between real and fake videos, photos, and speeches. And it's not even ready to... The detection of whether or not something is AI or not is not ready for prime time. Because I remember watching, was it Riverboat Jack? A couple times when I watch Riverboat Jack and they just show her up on the screen, it says that there's a deep fake. And so I'm thinking that the deep fake technology has a problem recognizing somebody who's trans and somebody who's cis. it thinks that some trans people are a deep fake of somebody, and that's highly problematic. But still, if it can't tell the difference, then you know it's not ready for prime time at this point. There's a lot of reasons why artificial intelligence is not ready for prime time. One of the main reasons I use to think whether or not we're ready for prime time or not with that is the ads I see when I'm on Facebook. So when I'm on Facebook, let's say I go plan. I haven't done this in a while because it's too freaking expensive at this point. Let's say plan a Disney trip. I buy all my tickets. I have my hotel stay or my Airbnb or wherever it is that I'm staying. I do all the stuff. I prepare for the trip. I'm all done. I've completely finished with my planning for the trip. And then all of a sudden I start seeing ads for Disney World. I'm like, dude, I'm already going. You don't need to sell me on it. So basically Disney is wasting their ad revenue on me. So I was like, why would I pay for ad revenue when the ad bots that show people things are like, oh, buy this thing, even though you've already bought this thing. It's like, I have a feeling like I would buy like advertising on YouTube, or for example, like for an ad campaign with a particular video to get more people seeing it. And at the end of the day, the only people who see it are going to be people who already pay for my sponsorships or memberships already. So I don't necessarily think that that's a good use of money, but who knows? Maybe if for some people it works, maybe for some it doesn't. I don't know. So I did want to verbally thank Man the Pivot for subscribing or for following over on Twitch. Thank you so much, and for your first time chat. Always good to have. Eventually, one of these days, I will work up the Twitch viewership to get more subscriptions and more followers over there and more people watching over there, so I can hit the next level above affiliate to hit the partner program. But that's a long way off. So let's see. Good night, Impeccable Living. Good to see you. Let's see. Christine, when I homeschooled my kids, all I heard was, how do they socialize? How can you stand being with your kids 24/7? Yeah. Let's see. The question is, what power needs for AI justified when being paid for citizenry who don't receive any benefits job-wise or through pollution contamination? That's also another good point. And if you put those places, more likely those people, those AI type facilities, like I think there's a Meta one opening in Louisiana, and maybe the Meta one opening in Louisiana is going to, I think, potentially be built right in smack dab in the middle of Cancer Alley, which I'm sure isn't going to help much. If it's not, it's close to it. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I think I'm roughly correct as to where that sits. And there's arguments, between, there are people who don't like AI because they think that AI art steals from real legitimate artists. And, maybe in the show intro, in the Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. That sounds a lot like somebody who sings. So there's that. But there are other issues with that, including sometimes AI allows people who can't do certain things because of disabilities are now able to create what their mind wants to create because it enables them to do so. So there are a lot of people like Demonox, the first host of, well, not the first host, but the first Liberal Dan Radio patron. Demonox also is of the camp that AI helps individuals to create that weren't previously able to create, and in mimicking how AI learns, it does so much like the way we learn as well. So there's that other side to that coin. But again, there are pluses and minuses to many different things that we have in society, and we just have to try our hardest to increase the positives and decrease the negatives while harming the fewest people possible. Wait, here's Steve goes, any RFK Jr. poetry for us? I could not bring myself to even finish the first poem that I read from RFK Jr., let alone any more. I'll have to come up with, I bet you if you put a poetry prompt into AI, that AI could probably make a poem better than RFK Jr. could. So, and Cancer Alley Musk, yeah. See, my grandkids, Susie says, still go to sports and dances. They also interact with the teacher more than regular school. I don't know how, but that they like it better. For a year more, I guess we kept our kids out of school a little bit more, but their school that they were attending in person was providing distance learning for some of the students when kids were immunocompromised or the parent was immunocompromised, and the school was a pain in the ass about trying to actually get us the information on how we do it. But that's because the administration of the overall school system of that individual, 3-school type charter school system, that the administration sucks. I don't like them. Now, the people who run into individual schools, like the principal stuff, they're fine, they're nice, they're good people. It's just the board and everybody else over there that tries to oversee it just does a terrible job at it. So, basically, it's a tool that can be used and abused. My problem is this is owned by nefarious people who don't necessarily have our best interests at heart. Well, I mean, most heads of most big corporations are nefarious people who don't have our best interests at heart. That's how you end up with Luigi Mangione, who apparently, so according to their attorneys, was not put under arrest and not read his Miranda rights when he was detained, and as such, they're arguing that certain things said between the arrest and a certain part afterwards, they shouldn't be able to do that. So that'll be interesting to see if half that comes up. Let's see. You should try taking the transcript of your show sometime and have an AI give an analysis of your style, strengths, and weaknesses. Can be very insightful. It's an interesting idea. Maybe we'll consider doing that. I do want to try and get my argument on trans athletes down from the multi-paragraph one to one to see if I can pare it down. But the problem is like when I was on Nick Driver's show, he was in chat the other day. When I was on Nick's show, and it was me and 3 other conservatives having a debate, there are people who were like, why can't Dan just answer a question? It's like, well, sometimes a question isn't a yes or no question. It doesn't give you a yes or no answer. A yes or no answer isn't good enough. You have to give caveats. You have to deal with the boundary conditions. You have to deal with all the things that make life more complex than a binary yes or no. Unfortunately, sometimes the minds of conservatives are incapable of handling things beyond a yes or no. They can't handle nuance. They can't handle certain special situations. That's why we have arguments about abortion, because even there are ones who they don't want to see the issues with who are getting abortions after like week 20, week 22. Those people are doing so not because they don't want a kid. They're doing so because they wanted a kid, but it's threatening their health. I seem to be having some issues with YouTube. I don't know, but for some reason I was getting a circle of death thing for a second, but whatever. Someone should start a Buy Mangione a Trump Pardon GoFundMe just for the sake of absurdity. That would be hilarious if Mangione was able to get enough funds to get a pardon from Trump, and they'd be like, I think I always want to say Chuck Mangione because that's the singer, or at least the trumpeter who does Feel So Good, right? But yeah, that would be fun to get Luigi Mangione a gifted GoFundMe to see if Donald Trump will actually pardon him or not, and he probably would, especially if you bought, you're gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna buy 11 billion Trump phones. Please pardon Luigi Mangione. Thank you so much. So the circle happened and disappeared. Yeah, I saw it too, but I was kind of looking at my looking at the kilobytes per second on both YouTube and for what's being sent to Twitch, and neither of them seemed to be problematic, so I didn't have to panic about the show or whatever. Thank you, Revilla B, for saying you enjoyed the show. I don't know if you're still around. Look forward to having you stop by Thursday as well. Let's see. The girls are more motivated to get their assignments done because they have more time to pursue their own interests. That makes sense. We had a situation like that in my fifth grade. I don't think it was 4th grade. I was thinking it was a 5th grade class where we had clearly wasn't distance learning, but we basically had control over our own time. So we had these little workstations that we could go to, and the teacher was there to help answer questions or whatever, and to teach potential things we might need to learn. But basically, we would go to this one station, and we'd have to, do this, and then we'd do this other station and do this, and then we could book our free time. So we could be like, hey, this is the free time that we're going to have. So a lot of what the kids did is we just pushed all of our free time blocks to Friday, so that we could basically have a half day of just doing nothing and having fun, or maybe even more, while getting all of our stuff done. And then we'd still manage to still get our stuff done early and have other free time anyway. So it was an interesting learning method that I personally really liked. I'm not sure if it worked for everybody, but it was kind of work at your own pace, work on your own assignments as you wish to do so. You could work together if you wanted to, but then you would have free time to play as well. It's basically trusting students to do their own work, and that's what I think ultimately intrigued me more. So anyway, let us go ahead, and we'll probably end again with the War on Christmas new intro, just to play it again because it is the beginning of the holiday season, and it's a enjoyable little ditty that I do every year, even though I'm Jewish, every year between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So again, I probably won't be streaming Nerdy Dan tomorrow, simply because if I'm moving to 3 days a week, I'm not doing a fourth day. I did stream Saturday briefly for something, but basically at this point, my Nerdy Dan streams are going to be less frequent and more irregular because I want to make more time for Liberal Dan Radio. Maybe a show or two, I'll be like, okay, there's not much to talk about this week. Maybe we'll do an extra Nerdy Dan stream. But really, in reality, with Trump as he is and all of the stuff going down, Supreme Court rulings coming down the pipe, I really don't think we're going to be at a shortage of information at all. So thanks, everybody. Thank you, Aquatic, for the 30 gifted memberships tonight, as well as the whatchamacallit, as well as the the other stuff you sent me in the mail. Appreciate you on that. And we are going to go ahead and end today's show, hear a couple songs, and be on our way. Again, if you want to support the show, please remember, whenever you see a new video, like it, share it, comment on it, interact with other people who comment on it, help the algorithm, because as we all say, Al Gore needs more rhythm. Primitive Icon says, you make me laugh. Dan, love you all. Look, I'm not a professional comedian, but I love the fact that I can throw in a few laughs here and there and make people chuckle. So anyway, until then, thank you all very much. Have a great one. Peace. "'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the land Fox News warned its viewers of a dastardly plan. The liberals were launching their war on the season to get rid of Christmas and commit acts of treason, removing decorations out of their sight and telling you that Santa and Jesus ain't white. Environmentalists who will come right after your soul. They hate all things Christmas, especially the coal. They'll sneak in your house all dressed in their flannel and instead give the bad kids some new solar panels. They'll take up all decorations that please us. They'll even go after tiny baby Jesus. Now all these Fox lies cause such a frustration. Who would save us all from this misinformation? When live from the net there came lots of chatter. Could it be old St. Nick, or perhaps someone fatter? Broadcasting from New Orleans down in Louisiana, it was none other than Liberal Dan, coming to save the holiday season, busting through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. But I cannot do it myself, he exclaimed, so he called other groups, each one by name. On Christians, on Muslims, on Wiccans, on Jews, on Hindus and Buddhists and atheists too. Let's all spread the word and tell them indeed that there's no war on Christmas, just one on greed. So instead of joining this manufactured fight, listen to Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right.
Gather round, everyone, and I'll tell you a tale about an orange-faced buffoon who should be in a jail. When people say he's done something that goes beyond the pale, he will shake his head and give this answer without fail. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, he says he tells no lies and that he never jokes. Confronting with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax. A modern Don Quixote, he hates the windmills, claiming to protect the birds and whales he says they kill. But don't believe that story, it's really just a shill. He just did not want to see them wild golfing on Scottish hills. A hoax, sugar and cokes. Confronted with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax. He promised to release all the Epstein files that caused all the MAGA-base to react with smiles. But how long has he put it off? It sure has been a while, and now he's calling this a hoax, protecting pedophiles. A hoax, a hoax. He says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspoken strokes, he'll keep on gaslighting up until he crooks. Confronted with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax.
They wrote it in the laws, ink still bleeds. Treating women like soil, just planting seeds. She's gone, brain dead, not even awake. But the state's got a claim, gonna plant its stake. Say it's God's will, say it's life they protect. But they ain't the ones feeling pain or neglect. From Texas to Georgia, they set the trap. Rights roll back while they smile and clap.
Gilead's here, this is true. Hey, MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator.
This ain't pro-life, it's control and shame. They don't care if she's gone, just playing a game. Keep her hooked to machines, cold and still. Just a vessel to them, not a human with will. No consent, no voice, no chance to resist. Just laws in place, written with a clenched fist. Hospitals scared, judges playing God. Bodies ain't temples, just state-owned pods.
Gilead's here, this is true. Hey, MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator.
Bands in the dark, they don't care who it kills. Stacking courts while they strip out all of your wills. But we'll fight back, march loud, burn bright. Cause this ain't the end, it's the start of the fight.
Gilead's here, ain't no grace. And those leopards are coming to eat your face. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator.
Not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator.
The creative director at WGSO had a little something he thought you should know. When Dan picked on his bits, Steve got real gruff. So Steve called Dan a flake, called him liberal dandruff. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan radio, it's the best, cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest. Steve's about to find out his mistake. In this feud, Dan's Kendrick, Steve is Drake. Dan might not be the world's best singer, but he's got more talent in his little finger. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan radio, it's the best, cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest.
I like turtles.